This week, something brand new is opening at Walt Disney World. Is it a brand new state-of-the-art ride attraction? How about an amazing new resort that's not DVC? What about a brand new exciting nighttime spectacular? No, it's none of these. It is, of course, a new bar. And not just any bar, an adults-only bar. Yes, GO82 is opening in Epcot, and it ostracizes families and those with children. And where exactly is it located? Well, it sits in Spaceship Earth, ironically, right behind the statue of the man who never wanted alcohol in any of his parks. That's right, Walt Disney. But under the current leadership of Bob Iger and Josh D'Amaro, that has all changed, and it's bars everywhere. And that includes Walt Disney World's flagship park, the Magic Kingdom. Because soon as you step off of Pirates of the Caribbean, you'll be stepping right into a bar. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, the current leadership of the Walt Disney Company thinks that in order to bring magic back to the Magic Kingdom, they need a bar, they need alcohol. But here at Follow the Bradley's Fun, we have our magic, and that is all of you. Yes, the greatest, most magical audience on YouTube. And as we begin our discussion, we invite you to hit that like button down below and get ready to join in for this fun discussion with you and our great guest, the ghost of Lou.
The whole modus operandi was we don't want to be like all these cheap carnies. We don't want to have the sleazy guys running the rides, and we don't want the gambling, and we don't want the booze, and we don't want the danger. So the booze went along with that, and of course they didn't want that.
Right. So when Disneyland first opened, of course, they didn't have alcohol in the parks. And of course, with Disney World, it's a little bit different of a concept because, of course, it is not just a park. It is a huge resort, and there were hotels. And it makes sense that there's a lot of places in Disney World that probably should not be dry. However, for years, the Magic Kingdom kind of continued to keep up with the whole Disneyland thing until I think it was 2012 when Beauty and the Beast restaurant opened. But now it's like kind of all over that park, and got a new one coming. Disney's new Magic Kingdom Pirates Bar marks another step towards alcohol normalization in the theme park.
Normalization, I love it. Yeah. Well, but at Disneyland, there was a bar right next to the monorail station at the hotel that they literally called the Monorail Club Car. And what would happen is parents would take turns keeping the kids in the park while the other one drove the monorail out, had a stiff one or two, and then came back in. So that was always an interesting bar. There were lots of single half of a couples in there at any given time of the day. But
I just think it's funny because most, I would say a major portion of announcements for Walt Disney World lately have been all of these new bars that wanted. There's one going in the lobby at the Grand Floridian, one in Epcot, but that's adults only, by the way. And then this one is a family-friendly location because you're going to step off the Pirates of the Caribbean ride right into a bar. Now, I'm guessing there's not going to be any seating like there is at Blue Bayou, which, by the way, is my favorite restaurant at Disneyland. I'm guessing you've been there.
Oh, many times, and indeed, my farewell visit to Disneyland before we moved here, we had the whole package of the dinner at the Blue Bayou, and then the special seating for Fantasmic, and it was worth
it. Yeah, absolutely nice.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's going to be an interesting space for sure. And I will say this, just to be fair, I've never really liked coming off a ride going right into a shop, but I guess this is still kind of a version of a
exit
shop.
Through the gift shop, right? Yeah. Well, but you know what's interesting is, of course, at Disney, most of the booze, the people that drink around the world at Epcot and whatever, is not exactly what you would call high-end stuff. It's cheap imitation fruit juice with a lot of grain alcohol and inflated prices that are insane. Now, the menus I have seen from Epic have some seriously interesting cocktails. I was looking at one at the bar up on top of the Helios that was an espresso old-fashioned with Maker's Mark and an espresso liqueur and espresso. And I thought, well, that sounds kind of good, doesn't it? And it was not anyway, there's some drinks that they're call brands, and they're now, of course, at Epcot, the wine in the various pavilions around World Showcase is part of the promotion that people are paying to be there to represent themselves to American audiences. Same thing with the tequila at Mexico. But for that, you have people say, "How?" I saw one. There's a German girl who does some very interesting videos, who lives in, I think, Cincinnati, but visits the parks and whatever. Feli is her name, Feli. Anyway, she was talking about how German is the German pavilion. She did a whole show about that, her and her boyfriend going.
Oh, yeah.
And she was talking about how limited the choices were in brands of beer. And she didn't understand that those are the brands that pay to be there, so that the people who go to Epcot and try that beer say, well, I'm in the German pavilion, I should try the German beer, will like it, go home and buy more. Well, for that to be true, that brand of beer has to have distribution all across the country, so that people have, otherwise there's no point in giving you a taste for it if you're never going to see it again. So that limits the choices, But that's,
and you're definitely right about Epic. What they're doing with their food and drink game, it's on a whole new level from where Universal for certain used to be, and it's it's been a weakness for Universal Parks for years that their food game and drink game has not been up to par with.
Now I don't know that that's true. I mean, within the parks, it's certainly been true, and in LA too. But as far as the hotels and the restaurants in City Walk, I mean, it depends on who's running it. I remember the first time I went to City Walk was when Emerald still had a restaurant there.
Yeah.
And everything was superb, because Emerald is the kind of guy that won't do anything with his name on it unless it's really, really, really quality. So I've never stayed at any of the hotels over there, so I don't know what the bars are like in the hotels.
No, Emerald's was great when it was there. I can't remember. I just walked by it the other day, what it's been replaced by, and I can't remember. But I think it's going to be
a couple different incarnations since it was Emerald. But
the competition is definitely growing. Let's read this out of that parkplace.com. This is by Raven Redgrave. The Magic Kingdom is getting a new lounge, a Pirates Bar. Disney is calling it a unique new experience for fans of Pirates of the Caribbean. However, longtime visitors view it as the latest step in Disney's slow but steady push to normalize alcohol in its most iconic and traditionally family-focused park. The new Magic Kingdom Pirates Bar, reportedly named the Beak and Barrel, will be
so that's what, a parrot beak, I guess. I'm glad they didn't steal my joke. I wrote a script once that almost got made for a movie that was a pirate spoof, and it was called Captain Kowalski, the Polish Sea Dog. And I had the beginning of it take place at a place called the Armada Inn. But anyway.
So it'll be, let's see, it's going to be the first dedicated lounge space in the park. And then that's what's a little bit strange for Magic Kingdom. It's like it's in the Magic Kingdom, the family park, and it's a dedicated bar basically for the park. That distinction matters, unlike the existing table service restaurants where alcohol is restricted to meals. This is designed as a space where the drinks come first and the food second, indeed a proper tavern. From dry dock to open tap, for decades the Magic Kingdom stood apart from the other parks by upholding Walt Disney's original vision of no alcohol. That's specifically within the park. Walt believed that booze would diminish the park's family-friendly atmosphere and explicitly kept Disneyland dry when it opened in 1955. Florida's Magic Kingdom carried on that legacy well into the 21st century. So it changed in 2012 when Disney quietly announced that its new Beauty and the Beast themed restaurant Be Our Guest would begin serving beer and wine with dinner. At the time, the company insisted the decision was tied to the immersive French dining experience. Of course, yes. It was not a wider shift. it was Lumiere.
Profit had nothing to do with it. Try the gray stuff. It's expensive.
Right? I tell you what, when that restaurant first opened and they had breakfast and they had quick service lunch, it was so innovative because it was the first time they were trying the RFID in the park, and you would go up to a kiosk, like a computer console kiosk, order your meal, and then grab a rose, like this lit up rose, and put that on your table, and your meal would be brought to you because of the rose. And I thought that was a very cool concept at the time. But then they, of course, changed it. According to Disney Food Blog, by 2018, Disney had expanded alcohol service to additional table service restaurants in the Magic Kingdom. including Plaza, Crystal Palace, Diamond, Horseshoe. This move meant that nearly every sit-down restaurant in the park now offer beer, wine, specialty cocktails. While the additions were framed as minor menu updates, the cumulative effect was significant. And, that's kind of what we're talking about here is the cumulative effect across all of Walt Disney World. Like, what does it mean for just the image of Walt Disney World in general to have this much alcohol available at the Magic Kingdom?
Well, what it means is that they're overserving people, and especially before the whole Reedy Creek thing fell apart, when they had nobody to answer to, as far as an ABC kind of situation where people would actually go through and say, you're overserving. So anyway, in fact, I've seen, there's all these videos online now of people getting arrested and people getting busted, and there's several of them of people at Disney World. And there's this guy, I saw one where, well, he didn't take his meds and it's not his fault, he's crazy. But at the same token, he was absolutely blind drunk. How'd he get that way?
Let me tell you.
And I guarantee you that in your day, people were trained to look for that and not to have it happen. And now it's like if the individual server, bartender, whatever, wants to cut somebody off, they have to worry their manager's going to give them flack over it because, hey, that's where the profits are. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was very fortunate when I was working at a Disney restaurant. We were absolutely trained how to cut people off. As a matter of fact, you actually have to re-up the training every 90 days. Like, it's not.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure they still have it like online where you have to re-up your training every 90 days. I'm not sure if that's a state thing or was a Reedy Creek thing or whatever it was. But I can tell you, I had one guest one time that was so livid with me for not wanting to serve her. I literally had to hand that person off to a different server. And then that person handled it, and the management. Management had to come over. Our restaurant at the time that I worked there was very good at cutting people off. But the problem that I do see is that if you're spending like that one Florida guy did, supposedly $1,400 for a day. It could be more, it could be less, but you're spending that kind of money. You want to have a good time. You're on vacation and you're drinking during the day at the park. And especially if you're not hydrating a lot in Florida weather.
Especially since at home, you don't drink all day long every day.
Right.
And you're not used to it on a general basis. And then, of course, all right, cut me off in the restaurant. But as soon as I go to the bar at the next World Showcase Pavilion, they don't know me from Adam. And here I go again. So
that's where it gets problematic, and there's more and more when you're in this family environment, and you want to have a good time, and then there's other people, literally tossing their cookies around you, which I've also had happen.
Well, and of course, it leads to a lot more off-color language that a lot of people don't want their kids exposed to. It's like I felt the same way about the quote-unquote gay days. Do it. Okay, but announce it. Tell people these following days we're catering to people through travel agents that specialize. And if you are of a persuasion or belief that you don't want your kids exposed to visible displays of affection, then don't come that week. That's all.
Yeah.
But they don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess now that they have the month of June, people might know better, but there's a lot of people that still don't know. Well, it is what it is, and it's the way that Disney is choosing to go, and we will have to wait and see over time what that does to the Disney crowds. But we want to know your thoughts on this. All of these bars coming to Walt Disney World, and especially in the actual parks and in Magic Kingdom, what are your thoughts? Comment below. Do you think this is good for Disney? Do you think it's not great for Disney? What about families? We want to know all your thoughts. Please put those in the comments below. Yes, please do let us know in the comments below before you go out the door. And we thank you so much for coming in today and checking out this video. And before you head out today, if you could please click that like button down below. If you're not already, consider subscribing to the channel and do click that notification bell. When you click it, you stick it to the YouTube algorithm and you get notified of all of our uploads here at Follow the Bradley's Fun. Thanks so much, and until next time, we'll see ya real soon. Ciao, everybody. Bye.